Hunter bringing multiple championships to Florida on some future 50-50. They sent 4 picks to Cleveland to move up 3 spots and draft the Colorado dual threat second overall. They then gave him his entire $30 million bonus up front, putting their money where their proverbial mouth is. The plan is to play Hunter at both receiver and defensive back, but can he do that at the NFL level? Going to be a great storyline this year.
Hey, Travis, this is James Gladstone with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're moving from pick 5 to pick 2 because you're the one we've been hunting up.
Yes, sir. That's the best decision.
Jacksonville made the biggest trade in this year's draft, leapfrogging up the board to the number 2 overall pick. And now the player they selected, Travis Hunter, is trying to make his own big move by becoming the first two-way NFL player since his former college head coach, Deion Sanders.
Lobs it left, looking for Sanders. Touchdown, Deion Sanders.
This is just so rare. But then again, so are the talents of Hunter, who's being onboarded in Jacksonville as a wide receiver, but also will be used at times at cornerback.
You know, in the pros, it's going to be the same way for me, but I don't have schoolwork, so I can go my 24 hours and nothing but football.
It's what Hunter did at Colorado last season.
Touchdown! The best player in college football!
When he played 1,481 total snaps, nearly 300 more than any other player in college football. And if Hunter is used enough on both sides of the football in Jacksonville, and the Jaguars are open to using him in the most effective ways, then he will do things that no one has seen for years.
Celebrate like it's 1996.
1996.
Back in 1996, Deion Sanders became the last NFL player with at least 8 starts on both offense and defense in the same season.
Deion playing both ways this year. He's been out only 4 plays all night.
Before him, Don Hutson shined and still remains the only player in NFL history with 400 career receptions and 10 interceptions. Following their two-way careers, both Hutson and Deion wound up in Canton in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now Hunter is starting his own two-way journey in a way that today only he can.
Let's keep it Travis Hunter with our guy, NFL analyst Field Yates. And Field, we know that Travis Hunter has said as many times as he can he wants to play both ways. But how do you see the Jaguars utilizing him this season?
Yeah, Elle, I do think he's going to end up playing both ways. But their GM, James Gladstone, said something recently that I thought was interesting. Basically, that they onboarded him as a wide receiver during OTAs because defense comes so instinctively to him. So it might be natural to expect that Travis Hunter leans slightly more towards defense during his rookie season. I will just say this, though. 2 important factors. I think the ceiling for him is remarkably high on both sides of the ball. I thought during my pre-draft evaluation, it was even higher as a wide receiver. There was an all-pro path, in my view, for Travis Hunter as he refines his game. The second thing, is this one of those things that the Jaguars probably said to themselves, we're making the investment from 5 to 2 moving up in the draft, not because we have it all figured out on what Travis Hunter is going to be for us. It's because we're going to figure it out along the way. If there are weeks in which we need him on the offensive side of the ball because we're going against a loaded Baltimore Ravens offense on the other side of the ball, then maybe we say to ourselves, 70% offense this week. But I do think the Jaguars are going to be malleable week in, week out, because Travis Hunter is the most versatile prospect we've seen probably since Deion Sanders.
Okay, so what we see week 1, not necessarily what we're going to see week 18. ESPN Bet, by the way, has the Jaguars at 3-1 to win the AFC South. Field. That's something that they've only done twice in the last 20 years. Let's go to ESPN.com, because right now you can see a story in which we see our executives, coaches, and scouts in the NFL ranking their top running backs, and this is going to shock no one, but Saquon Barkley is number 1. What might be a shocker was that somebody actually had him ranked second in Field. We know that Saquon was drafted as the RB5 last season, certainly crushed those expectations. Can you give us a few running backs that you think are going to exceed their ADP?
Yeah, Elle, probably the player that's going to swing the most leagues this year is Christian McCaffrey, who's currently going 9th overall. 9.0 is his ADP, which is the back end of the first round. There's risk involved, no doubt. He's 29 and he's an injury risk, as we saw last year. If he stays healthy, though, he will pay off in a dramatic way. He is the best fantasy football player when he is actually healthy and available. But are we going to get him for 17 weeks this upcoming season? Kyle Shanahan did a very positive health update for him during OTAs, which is encouraging to see. Chase Brown was great from week 5 on last year when he basically became a one-man band of the Cincinnati backfield. He had 8 separate games with 16 or more fantasy points. He's a real factor, not just as a runner, but also as a receiver, and it's not like the Bengals did a whole lot this offseason that makes you think they're not going to lean heavily onto Brown once again this season. And finally, Travion Henderson from the Patriots, their second-round pick. I thought Ramondre Stevenson was just average at best last year. He was poor as a rusher, frankly, from an efficiency standpoint. Wouldn't surprise me if at some point in the middle or second half of the season, Henderson kind of does what Bucky Irving did to Rachaad White last year. He's too explosive, too much of a playmaker for the Patriots to lean on to Ramondre, instead lean on to Henderson, who at Ohio State last year got great return out of when they had him as kind of the lightning to Quinshon Judkins' Thunder.
Yeah, his numbers underscore that explosiveness, too. He had over 4,600 yards from scrimmage, 48 touchdowns in his career in Columbus. Field Yates, our fantasy guy, but right now it looks like his biggest fantasy is to shred some killer waves right now. We appreciate you, homie.
Let's go.
All right, we're going to send it back out to someone who's standing by with the waves, Amina Smith, who's in Newport, Rhode Island.
Told him here on SportsCenter, you know, something I'm working on in my personal journey is getting less defensive. But Jets cornerback Sauce Gardner trying to up his game defensively. 24-year-old saying new head coach Aaron Glenn and defensive coordinator Steve Wilks aren't letting him get complacent with his first couple of years in the league. I'm not saying that's who I am, Gardner says, but it's great to just have those type of guys that are going to demand a lot out of me and just push me in ways that I've never been pushed before. Let's say hello to ESPN national NFL reporter Kimberly Martin in the house for more on Gardner and the Jets. So, K-Mart, I'm curious, what are the expectations for Gardner under this new coaching staff?
So when I hear his quote, the first thing I thought is the goal is you are not your circumstances. I've covered the Jets for a long time. I was there when he was drafted. High expectations. First 2 seasons, very good. Last, not so much. Yeah. Sauce might disagree, but it wasn't pretty. But I think new regime, and in Sauce's defense, another new regime, another coach, and I think these guys, Aaron Glenn, the head coach, and defensive coordinator Steve Wilks, want Sauce to compete against himself. Like you set the standard for what you're so talented, but be better than you have been, and also be a leader. This is a team that has lacked veteran leadership over the years. There's been a lot of change, and I think they're looking at Sauce to kind of do that a little bit more.
Now, Aaron Glenn played the position at a very high level in his career, so Sauce Gardner could certainly learn a lot from him. Speaking of cornerbacks, we know one cornerback we're going to have our eye on this year is actually a two-way player.
Is he a corner? Is he going to be corner?
Wide receiver. Yeah. It's Travis Hunter. And when he's on defense, maybe he'll have to cover Travis Kelce, still getting it done for the Chiefs. And Kelce was asked about Hunter and his role on offense and defense this season. Take a listen.
If he plays corner, they're going to run deep balls at him all day. They're going to run the wide receivers, just take off on him all day just to try and get him tired.
Yeah.
I'm like, why wouldn't you just attack him that way?
I love it. We're talking gamesmanship already. I love it.
So for those who like to play fantasy, a lot of us are wondering how often is he actually going to be playing offense? So what do you know, or what can you tell us about how the Jags are going to deploy him on both sides?
Well, here's one thing we know. The Jaguars would not have moved up to get this phenomenal athlete playmaker if they didn't have an intention of using him on both sides. I think once we get into training camp, we'll get a better sense of exactly